Meet us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Google+. Hey guys, meet Sharp Aquos Crystal, the world's first bezel-less smartphone. Well, there has been other bezel-less smartphones that they claimed. There was another full-screen phone, Motorola bezel-less phones, and the thin bezel phones. But this probably is the world's first bezel-less, so to say, phone that we have actually seen. So this is a 5-incher with almost no bezels around the screen, and of course there is a thicker bottom part over here that kind of annoys, but hey, this is a phone and we need something to be stuck beside the screen, so I guess that part is neglectable. So dominating the most of the front part, actually almost all of the front part, is a 5 inches of an IPS display ranging at 720p resolution. That's actually not bad for a mid-ranger, especially considering what they've done for this bezel-less screen. And the screen quality is actually pretty good. We'll get to that later. And there's a front-facing camera that's oddly in the bottom because there's no any space on the top. So when you actually launch a camera to take a selfie, it tells you to rotate the screen, flip the screen upside down. But that's a little annoying thingy there. But there's a name Aquos over there, and the proximity sensor and the ambient sensor. To the right comes with nothing, and the top has a power key. This is actually okay because the tall phones like an iPhone, or let's say the most of the HTC devices, this is not exactly the most. This is not the easiest way to click on, but this fits well on the hand, so this is okay. And there's an earphone jack, and left goes with the volume rocker, and the bottom with the micro USB port and the microphone, and the back comes in two different colors, black or white of your choice, and this obviously is a white one. And along with the 8-megapixel camera, LED flash, the rear-facing microphone, and this odd patterned battery cover. That's not my favorite, but it's okay. It's easy to grip, and it comes with blocks from slipping off your palm. And there's an external speaker and the Sharp logo. It's been a year since we have last seen a Sharp phone anywhere aside from Japan, so this is one of the phones that we rarely see. So there is the micro SD card slot and the nano SIM card slot over here. Of course, this is a Sprint/Boost device. This comes in a Sprint subsidiaries, including Sprint, Boost, or Version. So you can get one of those prepaid or postpaid devices on the provider of your choice. And battery cover is detachable, however the battery is not, and the battery comes with the 2040 milliamps of the built-in battery. We'll get to its performance very soon. Before we do that, this is the Aquos Crystal, and this is another 5-incher Sony Xperia Z1, and that's not exactly the most common phone in the world. So here is the Galaxy S4. This is a 0.001 inches smaller, but that should be neglectable. So let's bring up the screen, and here we go. So for the same screen size, we can see how those phones compare with the screen to phone ratio, and Aquos Crystal obviously is the winner here. Aside from its thickness, it's a centimeter thick. That could be a little downside here. Alright, turning the phone on gives a lock screen, and this is almost stock. So Sharp has a heavily customized software and its Japanese sibling, but in the American model, they turned into stock Android. And this is ranging at the version 4.4 KitKat, so it should be good enough for a couple of years for now. 4.4.2, that's not the latest, but it's okay because it's almost stock. It does come with some bloatwares, but most of them are disableable. So you can just disable them all. Let's see what I did. On the app side of the settings, there is a disable section on the very bottom. And there's a lot that I disabled. I can't really check here, but there are. So the launcher and settings, and probably most of them are unmodified, except for some of the features that Sharp has added. So going on to settings, there is one thing called the Harman Kardon audio. We have seen this in the HTC version of the M8 with the Harman Kardon audio. There's clarified that apparently it is going to bring up some of your dead or cut off sound within that compression back, but it doesn't really do much of the job, and this I personally don't think is anything that anyone wants. The basic sound quality of the Aquos Crystal is pretty much terrible, and this only makes it worse, and so does the live stage sound effects. So don't even bother with Harman Kardon audio over here. Sound quality is awful, and it's going to be awful whether you turn it on or off. Another thing that they added is clip now. So this is what you do. You swipe from the edge of the screen and you can clip the screen. It takes a screenshot of your phone, and if you're on a web page like here, you can swipe and it goes to the clip now section of your apps, and if it's a web page, then it's gonna also save the address over here under KG, and you can share that instantly along with your screenshot to your friends or whoever that would be. So those are very few functions. Another neat function that they had added is because this screen is bezel-less, they had an effect called the frameless effect. So when you turn your phone on, you can make points on the edges so you can tell people around how bezel-less your phone is. Those are the basic things of the phone, and it comes with the Snapdragon 400 processor built inside. That's nothing special. We have all seen that. And 1.2 gigahertz of Snapdragon 400 runs fine, but it's interestingly not as smooth as I expected, as it almost stock like software. Probably because of the RAM, I'm not really sure. It does have 1.5 gigabytes of RAM, so it should be enough for a Snapdragon 400 and a 720p display. So we're not entirely sure why this kind of lags in some parts. And for the touchscreen wise, you would definitely want to calibrate your screen, because the screen initially doesn't really work well with the multi-touches especially. So there is an option called the calibration, so you might want to do that as just touchscreen. You might want to do that. Aside from that, screen itself is pretty good. The bezel, of course, there's almost no bezels on the screen. That's one of the basics. And there's a little bit of light leak on the top, but there's almost no bezel, so I guess we can just jump through that. So the screen is amazing, and the quality of the screen is actually pretty good. As a 720p display, this is one of the best screens I've ever seen. And this really shows off when you're going into a camera. So this is the camera, and this is totally, entirely full screen on your phone. So look how it enters. Look how thin the bezel is. And another thing that they added is the frame advisor. There's so when you have an object on your screen, the camera, object that does not run on the surface, the camera looks at the thing and it suggests you the optimum frame that you might want to place your object or a person on. Didn't really find this useful, probably most likely because the camera on the back or the front is at the best mediocre. They're actually pretty bad as a 2014 device. So that's one of the things. And when you're taking a selfie, you might definitely want to turn the screen upside down so you can take a proper selfie with one on the location that does not make it look fat. And the speaker, of course, is another function. All right, so there's a back speaker over here. This is a loudspeaker for your speakerphone or your music playing. And what about the calls? Calls, there's no speaker. Of course, no, you don't flip it upside down to answer your calls. What you do is it's using a thing called the direct wave. So your screen is going to vibrate on itself to give you the sound through the screen. So there's no speaker needed. So I kind of tested how it sounds like, and I used Skype. And the whole screen kind of vibrates, and it's kind of weird. It locks the screen, but the sensor is in the bottom half, so it's not exactly that accurate, so you might want to unlock that a lot. And the sound quality was okay, but it's not as good as on the other devices. And another thing that I figured out was that its battery ranging at 2040 milliamps is okay for its capacity, but really 2040 for a 5-inch display, that's definitely not enough for a 5-inch, especially onto the 2014 standard. So, well, this is an okay phone. Okay, before I actually got my hands on it, I thought this was an amazing, awesome phone that I want to get my hands on whatever measures that I could take. But in a reality, in a real world, this is an okay phone, and that's it. This is an interesting and performing phone, but this is, I don't know, it's ranging at $150, so even as a prepaid, this is pretty decently priced device. But aside from the price and the interesting bezel-less thingies and the pretty cool display, I really don't know why would anyone get this, because competitors like a Motorola Moto G has display as good as this one, and the sound quality is better, call quality is better, and the battery life is better, performance obviously is better, and it gets updates a lot more. And Sharp Aquos Crystal, I'm not really sure. The call quality is mediocre, camera's mediocre, sound quality is terrible, and battery life is below par. And why? I really don't get that. And unless if you're really into that bezel-less design, which is really cool, I admit that. There's no other reason for you to get an Aquos Crystal over any other phone. So that was for the Aquos Crystal. This was Under KG. Stay tuned for other reviews. Bye.